Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker is once again directed by J.J. Abrams and stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and many more. And this is the last chapter of the Skywalker saga, and it tells how the Resistance is going to beat the First Order now that Palpatine is back from the dead. First off, I really liked Force Awakens. I thought it was really fun, and it kind of moved Star Wars into this new modern age with some great lightsaber battles. However, it wasn't fully original, as it did borrow the outline of A New Hope. And The Last Jedi, I don't hate it as much as most people, but I also don't love the movie either. I think it's fine. It has some good moments in there, but overall, some of the stuff just doesn't click with me. And as for this episode, I might actually like it a little less than The Last Jedi, as there are just more things that I didn't really like, and just a few redeeming moments like spread around, and a few things that actually I really love. So this movie had a lot on its plate. It had to kind of make up for The Last Jedi after all the hate. It also had to close out the trilogy and kind of make up a lot of lost time since The Last Jedi didn't really move the story that much. And I think because of that, it led to my biggest problem with this movie, which is the story. The story is really convenient. Like, there are a lot of things that should have gone through like another rewrite or two and maybe tied up a few things, but here it's just like when there's a problem, there's almost immediately another solution for it. And when you're watching it, it almost feels like they're writing it as they were going along. But was it entertaining? It was entertaining enough to not be bored. Um, like I said, there are a lot of things that are convenient, and you just kind of have to go with it because that's what you're looking at. And there are moments that kind of reminded me of other movies. Definitely Avengers Endgame, and actually like the Harry Potter saga. There are like a few moments spread throughout this movie that reminded me of like moments from like Goblet of Fire and Deathly Hallows Part 2. As for the characters, I don't think the characters are as interesting as they were in the other two movies. I think they are actually like the least interesting in the final chapter. Like at this point, it seems like everybody just wanted to get this movie done with. My favorite character in this movie is actually Kylo Ren. I thought Adam Driver did a great job, as he usually does with most of his roles. And I thought his arc was probably the best in the movie. He just had the most to work with. And I really wish that his arc in this movie could have been spread out through the last two movies. And for Carrie Fisher, I thought they did the best that they could, given what they had. But however, there are a few scenes where it almost seems like she was superimposed on it, like she was just like CGI'd onto the scene. But the lines and her performance were still pretty good with what they had. As for the new characters, they're not that great. They barely have any character to them. I don't even remember their names, to be honest with you. They're kind of there just to move the plot along. Like, they kind of showed up and kind of helped the trio of Finn, Rey, and Poe, and that's about it. Like, they show up in the final battle, but other than that, you don't really know that much about them. Also, Lando's back in this movie, and just because he was back didn't make the movie any better. And he also isn't in this movie that much either, which was a little surprising to me. I thought he was going to do a little bit more, but he's almost like a glorified cameo. He's basically in like 2, 3 scenes, and that's it. However, there are good moments in this movie. I just can't get into them because of spoilers. There are a few scenes that I like that are sprinkled out throughout the movie. And the score, as always, John Williams delivers again. Incorporating music from like The Force Awakens with Rey's theme and March of the Resistance. And I thought he did, again, a great job with The Rise of Skywalker. Also, this movie does look great. Again, there are a lot of shots in this movie that you could easily have as like a wallpaper on your laptop or your phone, as it was for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I think all these three movies had some really gorgeous cinematography. I think The Rise of Skywalker has the least interesting lightsaber battles out of the three. I think Force Awakens and Last Jedi had better motivations and it kind of made sense for the plot. As for this one, it kind of just wanted to put it in there just so people wouldn't get bored. But was this a satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga? Kinda in some ways. There are a few arcs that do work, like I said, Kylo Ren. I think some of the other ones, which I kind of can't say here, does work. I think as for the Skywalkers themselves, some of it works, some of it doesn't. I think bringing Palpatine back was kind of just for the fans. He didn't really serve that big of a purpose. And for the final battle itself, it's actually not that interesting, and it kind of ends in a pretty weak way. There are also some missed opportunities for this movie. A few times as I was sitting there, I wanted something to happen, but it didn't happen. Sometimes they would go back on stuff that they put on screen, and then sometimes they could have made a moment much better, but they kind of just left it as it was. So overall, The Rise of Skywalker is not as bad as people are saying, but it's also not that great. There are conveniences for the plot, like I said. Solutions are kind of just given like 5 minutes after the problem arises. Some good arcs throughout the movie. It's gorgeous, has a great score, but it kind of just, the story is where the problems lie. So I think the big problem is just that they didn't have a great outline for this trilogy. They kind of just left everything from the last movie, and the visions just weren't there from the beginning. So I'm going to give The Rise of Skywalker a 5.5 out of 10. I really wanted this to be better, but I think there are moments, and you could kind of see where it could have been great, but just the time that this movie had, it just couldn't accomplish it. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or you just thought it was fine like me? But yeah, this is the end of Star Wars, at least the Skywalker saga for now. Mandalorian's still out there. We got one more episode left. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.